Child, I don't know how this is gonna work today. Honey, they be trying to act like Diva can't get her stuff together, making me look crazy and stuff. All the crows is out, y'all. All the crows is back. We back out here, baby. What's up, everybody? It's me, Erica, and this is going to be your last two episode recaps of Behind Her Eyes. Now, this recap is going to contain spoilers because it's the end, and there is a twist. So, I'm just letting you guys know that now. So we're down here. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and comment, and let the diva know you stopped by. And let's get started. I took some notes. Let me get my shit together here. All right, we're gonna turn the car off. We're good. All right. So we start off with Mr. Sandman. The song Mr. Sandman, Make Me a Dream, make me the, what is it? Give me the, what? With diamonds and clovers. Na 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 na, lights are over, Sandman. Make me a dream, make me the... I don't know the words. I know Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. So it was playing that song, but it was kind of like I don't know, it was like a rock version. It was, it wasn't the cute like dun 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 dun. It wasn't that. It was like a little hard, a little darker. And we see that Louise is counting down the days till Adam gets back. And then we see Adele shooting heroin between her toes. And I was like, girl, what is going on? What is the heroin for? And we're trying to figure out, like, what's going on. Even at this point, I didn't even get it, child. I didn't even know what was going on. So Adam comes home. Louise is telling her ex-husband that she's happy for him. She has like a new outlook. I don't know. She's just being really nice to him, I guess. And then her homegirl Sophie comes over, and Sophie is the one that has been telling her to leave Adele and David alone. They're bad news. You're going to be hurt by them. You're the one that's going to be hurt. And she was like, what's going on? I've been worried about you. And she was like, I got fired. And she was like, girl, he fired you? She was like, I told you. And so she was giving her this, I told you so, girl. And she was like, listen, girl, the way that you're talking to me, it seems like you're like poor old Louise. You can't even get enough fair, right, and all this other stuff. And then she was like, it's for the best. Aren't you done? You're done with him, right? And she was like, no, but I worry about Adele. Girl, what are you so worried about for? She was like, maybe you should go. So she gets mad at her homegirl. Homegirl leaves. She hugs Adam before she goes. As Adele is doing something, and she picks up her keys because her son gave her a keychain from France, a little keychain that says "I love you" in French. So cute. And she sees that she still has the office keys, right? And then she has like a memory, like, oh my God, Adele's file is in the office. I got the office keys. I can go back to the office, catch this sun hitting on your girl's face. Come on, bitch. Anyways, so she gets the keys, right? And I was like, girl, what are you doing? She broke into her job. She gets Adele's file. In the file, she's looking at little notes that David has left in the file. She takes the damn folder and gives it to Adele. And Adele was like surprised, and she was like, I can't believe that you took it. And then she was like, it goes back like 10 years. And then she was like, the affair is in there and everything. And then she was like, he paints a picture of me that I'm this crazy wife. And then Adele's like, not Adele, but Louise is like, girl, you need to have more control over your life. You need to take back control, take this file and this and that. And she was like, it all goes back to Rob. This is what Adele says. And she was like, what the hell do you mean? She was like, let me show you. She takes her upstairs, right? And she shows her the mural of the forest. And she was like, this is where I grew up. This is the forest and this and that. But I think that David killed Rob. And she was like, what are you talking about? And she was like super duper shocked. She was like, girl, what the are you talking about? She was like, yeah, because he left and he was gone. And he wouldn't have left me like that. I don't know what happened to him. And we never go back to the house. He won't sell it. I don't know what's going on. And she was like, do you think that Rob is at the house somewhere? She was like, I don't know. maybe, like that, right? So you see that Adele is good with the manipulation. She's good with dropping clues. She's good at making suggestions and not really saying anything, but making a suggestion that maybe something could be happening, right? So she was like, we see the well, right? And we see the well. It like pans over to the well, and we go down to the well. And remember, we already know that Rob is in the well with David's watch, right? So Louise is back to reading Rob's book, right? She's reading Rob's book, and as she's reading Rob's book, she has a flashback because he's narrating, right? And he's narrating, and he sees in the narration, in the flashback, you see Rob at some apartment complex or whatever, and he goes into the room. It's other people in there. He goes into the room, and so Rob is in there, right? So he's in this house. He steals some money. He goes and meets these guys. Looks like he's buying some drugs, and then he's going off to see Adele. So he's in this bus, and you can see he's on his way, making it to Adele. As Louise is reading his book and he's narrating it, she falls asleep. And as she falls asleep, she starts dreaming, of course, and she sees a door. When she walks through the door, she's in her apartment, right? She's in her flat, and she is hovering over herself. She's hovering over her son. She sees her son in the bedroom. She notices that there's a glass knocked over in his bedroom. She's looking over him. And then all of a sudden, she goes back into her body. She wakes up, like, and then she goes into her son's room, and then she notices that the glass is there. So she has figured out how to astral project, right? She has figured it out. So then Louise starts Googling Rob, right? She starts Googling him, trying to figure out where she is. She finds a telephone number of somebody with the same last name as him, and then somebody knocks on her door. David is there. David's like, I need the keys. And she was like, what are you talking about? He was like, I know you have the keys, and I need that file that you took too. And she was like, hold on. So she goes and she gives him the keys, and then she was like, I don't have the file. And then he was like, things are going to get ugly, and you didn't even think about it, that there was a security camera there and it saw you, and so you may want to give me the file back, and or things are going to get ugly. And she was like, are you threatening me? And he was like, it's not a threat, stay away from us. She was like, I gave the file to Adele. He was like, stay away from us. He got in her face, right? So now Adele and David are back at the house, and David is kind of yelling at Adele, and he was like, you knew who she was. You always know things. Why is that? And he tells her that he wants a divorce. And she was like, David, once you start, you can't take it back. She's sitting there eating dinner looking crazy as hell. I was like, this bitch is fucking crazy. You can't take it back. So then we back to another flashback. And a lot of this episode was flashbacks of Adele and Rob and David, right, at Adele's house. So we get another flashback. Now, Rob and Adele are laying on beds, and they have both learned, or he has now learned, how to astral project. And he was like, okay, let's do it. So they're laying on beds. They start counting their fingers. Then you could see their two souls coming out of their bodies. One was like green, and the other one was like a purplish blue. And it's moving around. It's moving around. Their little consciousness is moving around, little souls, and they're going around and looking over everything, and then they come back into each other's bodies, and they were like, oh my God, that was amazing, that was crazy, and all this other stuff. So they're super duper excited that they are able to astral project. And then Rob is looking it up and looking up what it means. She was like, I just called it traveling, I didn't know what it was. And he was like, well, did you tell anybody that you were able to do this? Does David know you're able to do this? And she was like, no, he doesn't know. He's so practical, he wouldn't believe me. She was like, this is our little secret, right? And he was like, were you in this state when your parents died? And she was like, yeah, I felt like if I was in my body, I would have been able to save them. So then he finally meets David. Remember, David is on his way up to the house, and he finally meets David. Louise calls Rob's sister, right? So she gets that number. She calls him. She's like, girl, I have not talked to him. It's probably for the best. He ain't shit. Girl, I don't know. And it's been about 10 years, okay? It's been 10 years. And then she's like, he just took some money from me one day and I ain't seen him since, girl. And he's not even worth it, so don't even bother, right? So now Louise is searching up about what happened with the fire. She sends an email to the police and tells the police that David may have killed Rob and that Rob deserves justice and all this. I was like, Louise, you have gotten in too far. You don't even know these people, girl. And just like David was telling her, like, girl, stay away from us. You don't even know what's going on. Like, I don't even know what I would have done in that space. Like, girl, not that nosy. I mean, like, maybe finding out, but I wouldn't go investigate. I'm not doing that. I'm not, ooh, let's go, girl, and all this other stuff. I'm not doing none of that. So, what happened? Oh, okay, he's just moving. So, she's sitting down, and then she goes, she's reading Adam a bedtime story, right? It's nighttime now. She's reading Adam a bedtime story, and she falls asleep. She astral projects, and she goes into her neighbor's house, the lady that watches Adam when she needs to go not mind her business somewhere, child. And she sees her neighbor's house. She sees her neighbors watching TV. She gets back into her body. Her son is trying to wake her up. He's yelling, "Mommy, mommy!" Like, while she's over in her neighbor's apartment, you can hear Adam saying, "Mommy, mommy," and then you could see her hovering over him, and he's like shaking her, "Wake up, wake up." He's crying and crying. She's not waking up. She finally goes back in her body, and he was like, "What happened? Are you?" She was like, "I'm here. Don't worry about it. We got it." So then she goes over to the neighbor's house just to make sure that she was seeing exactly what was happening at the same time. And she's looking at her friend's apartment. She goes over there asking her for a cup of coffee, for tomorrow or whatever. And then she was looking, and she realized, like, shit. So she gets back home. She's sitting on the couch, and she was like thinking about everything, like, I was able to see what was in my room. That is how she's able to know things. She figures out that that's what Adele has been doing this whole time, is hovering over her, and that's the reason why she knew who she was. That's the reason why she knew her and Dave were fucking. That's how she knew everything. And she was like, "You fucking bitch!" She was so mad. She was so mad. Then the next episode, last episode. So we see Louise go to the Cozy Cafe. Y'all remember the Cozy Cafe, right? That was the cafe where the girl who was having an affair with David was, right? And that's the reason why they had to leave the last city they were in, because that woman was going to press charges. Well, she goes to the Cozy Cafe, and she was like, she sees the lady, and she was like, "Do you know David and Adele?" And the woman was looking crazy like, "Bitch, I don't have nothing to do with that. I don't know what's going on with them. I don't have nothing to do with that." And she was like, "No, I really need your help. I really need your help." And she told her everything that happened, right? And she's telling her the way that Adele told the story is a lie. So we know that Adele is a big liar at this point. And the way the story went was that he would come into the cafe. He started talking about how his wife, he's unhappy at home and this and that. She tells him to leave the wife. If he's miserable, to leave the wife. And then all of a sudden, Adele shows up on Marianne's doorstep and was like, "I know you telling my husband to leave me, leave my husband alone, and this and that. And that's why you're just an old single woman with a cat and this and that." She was looking at her like, "Girl, are you kidding me? I'm not like messing with your husband." And she started laughing and closed the door like, "Girl, please." And then you could see Adele get really, really angry. Then the next thing you see back at this woman's house, that her house is in disarray. Like somebody has broken in. Of course, we know it's Adele, has broken into the house, wrote "slut" on the wall and this and that. And then there's a knife missing. Then there's a knock on the door. And then it's Adele handing her back her knife. Like, "Here, girl, here's your knife back." And she was like, "Oh my God." So Marianne says she threatened to press charges because she was in her house and this and that. And that's the reason why she left. or they left, he was not having an affair with this woman. And even the woman was like, we didn't have nothing going on. He was always complaining about his wife. He was like, she would come in here, but she wouldn't say nothing to me. And, being nosy or whatever. She was like, but whatever you do, stay away from them. Get away from them, because something is definitely wrong with that woman. So they go back to a flashback. Rob, Dave, and Adele are in there cooking a meal. And Rob keeps looking at David like he likes him, right? So remember, when Rob was having that dream and Rob was sucking off people that at the mental institution, he was having dreams of half naked men. You know what I'm saying? So I was thinking that that he kind of liked David. He was looking at David all like in his eyes and stuff like that. And then he was like, I was worried. David said to Rob, I was really worried about Adele being your friend, because I was worried about, the influence, okay? And he was like, but thank you for bringing her back. Then at dinner, you see Adele and David kissing. Now, remember, David just got back in town, so they're kissing at the table and this and that. And Rob is sitting back at the table. He's just looking. He's just staring. And he says, I worried about you too, he says to David. And he was like, I thought that you were just after her money. And he's like, honestly, I'm jealous of you guys' relationship, this and that. So Adele, she's at the table and she was like, well, I'm going to bed now, right? And then she was like, don't keep him too long, because I got plans for him, talking about David. So David and Adele start having sex, and then you can see Rob hovering over them, right? This is already getting sketchy. I was like, okay, Rob he up to no good, right? So we see Louise. She finds David. Now, we're going back and forth between flashbacks because they're giving us a backstory. They putting the pieces together for us, right? Louise and David. Adele, she says, Adele is crazy. I figured it out. I figure out how she knows about what she's doing. She does this thing, and he, again, is just like, what are you talking about? That doesn't even make sense. She was like, I wanted you to be a bad person because you were cheating on your wife, but it was... it wasn't you, it's been her all this time. And then she was like, is Rob dead? And he was like, oh, she told you about Rob? And she was like, yeah. And she was like, did you kill him? And he was like, girl, this is a mess, right? So then we have a flashback. So we putting all these puzzles together. Flashback. Now you see, let's see. Adele is crying. Oh, she's crying, right? And she's talking to David. And you could see her crying. David, he drives up and she's like looking on the side and looking all scared, eyes all red. And he was like, what happened? She tells him that she tried heroin with Rob. And she says that he overdosed, basically. And she was like, well, what? He was like, why didn't you call the cops? She was like, I panicked. I didn't know what to do. And then she said, I put him in the well, but your watch fell in. And he was like, oh my God. He was like, we have to tell somebody. She was like, no, we can't. We could just go away from here. We don't have to come back. Nobody knows he's here. Nobody's going to be looking for him. None of that stuff. But we can't go back. And then he tells her, David tells Louise, I didn't understand, like, after all of that, she was just able to move on. That poor boy's body is there in that well, and she acted like nothing. She wasn't upset. She just moved on. And then if she tells me if I leave her, she will tell everybody that I did it. And then she was like, well, he was like, but now that you sent a letter to the cops, I can go to the cops. I can tell them what happened. I can tell them everything that happened. And he was like, just stay away from her though, right? She was like, okay. Child, have y'all figured it out yet? Okay. Anyway, so Louise drops Adam off with his dad. And she was like, let me drop him off here. I got some stuff to do, right? So she's back in her living room and she's like, Adele, are you here? Are you here? So she's talking to in her apartment. Then the phone rings. She was like, did you want me? Bitch is crazy. She was like, you was calling me? She was like, you were calling me? And she was like, what'd she say? You have what? I don't know what I wrote right there. She was like, you were fucking my husband. And she was like, have you been everywhere? How did you know? And this and that. She was like, well, no, you can't really travel. You were supposed to be my friend, right? And this and that. And she was like, you can only travel in places that you've seen, right? And remember, I kept saying, you need to stop inviting these people in your house. You cannot invite them in your house. Otherwise, if they see the layout of your home, they're going to know how to navigate in your home when they're astral projecting. She was letting both of them in her house, child. So anyway, she was like, I wanted you to be my friend. I wanted you to love me. I wanted you to choose me, and you just pitied me. And then she was like, well, girl, I went to the police. And then Adele was like, what? You did what? She was like, I went to the police. David is on his way to Scotland. And then all of a sudden, Adele's yelling in the phone, fuck off, fuck off, fuck off. Like really, looking crazy. And just hangs up the phone. Then you see a flashback of Rob in the tub. He had just finished shooting up, and Adele brings him a box for his heroin, right? And this is the box that we see her with, and that she's shooting up in between her toes, right? And then she asked him, how does it feel? And then he was like, I've seen you and David together. He's perfect. It's like a fairy tale. You guys are perfect together, right? This is what Rob is telling Adele. So then we see Adele writing a letter which looks like a confession, right? And she's saying that I'm the one who killed Rob. It was not David, and this and that. So she fills up a needle, right? She fills up a syringe. She's putting like around like the circuit breaker. She's putting like fabric and like clothes and stuff so she can create a fire. On her cell phone, Adele sends Louise a text and says, girl, I thought we were friends. Maybe I'm better off not here. Like letting her know that she was going to kill herself, manipulating her, right? So then Adele is calling back and there's no answer. She was like, oh my gosh, she can't do this. I'm like, girl, you were just mad at her, but now she's about to kill herself. So now you feel like you need to go save her, right? So Louise shows up. At the house, right? She shows up at the house. She's knocking on the door. Nobody's answering the door. So she tries to break in and she can't get inside. She like puts her hand inside and the thing to open the door is not there. So she figures that the only way she's going to get into this house is if she astral projects, right? So she sits down on the steps. She starts counting. She falls asleep. She goes into the house. As she goes into the house, she's traveling. Her consciousness is traveling up the stairs. She's traveling up the stairs, and then she sees Adele laying in the bed. And when she sees Adele laying in the bed, you can see Adele's consciousness in the corner of the room, right? And then all of a sudden, Adele's consciousness just travels all the way down, bitch, all the way down, and goes into Louise's body and wakes up like this. She wakes up like this. She goes into the house. She goes and gets the spare key. So now this is Adele in Louise's body, bitch. I was like, this is a fucking trip. So she goes into Louise's body. Now Louise automatically is in Adele's body. And she's laying on the bed. And then you could see Louise standing in the door. And she was like, oh my God, what's happening? She was like, yeah, that's the smack. Your body, you're not used to that feeling. It's in your body or whatever. So then she hops on the bed. Louise, Adele, who's in Louise's body, hops on the bed and straddles Adele, takes another syringe and injects Adele, which is Louise, injects her with a bunch of heroin, and she overdosed. And it was so sad because as she's like overdosing, she calls out her son's name. I was just like, oh my God, girl. So then Adele takes Adele's body, right, because she's in Louise's body, and drags her down through the fire on the steps and is crying like she was trying to save Adele. And crying and crying and crying, right? Okay. Then you see Louise. Now everything is fine. You see Louise, she's dressed in this outfit or whatever. She goes to pick up Adam. He answers the door. Her ex-husband answers the door, and she's rude, right? Because this is Adele, right? She's rude and this and that, and she's like, I'm sorry about what happened. And she was like, I don't want to talk about it. And he was like, okay. And then when she was like, come on, Adam. And then when Adam sees his mother, he's looking like, bitch, that's not my mom. Kids know. They fucking know. He was like, okay. So then she like kind of pushes Adam down the street, like, come on, son. She goes like that. No love. There's no love there, anything like that. So now we see Louise is, Adele is in Louise's body, right? Then you see David. And David and Louise, Adele are hugging, and he's like, it's over. It's finally over. And she's kissing him and this and that. And I was like, first of all, you're a scumbag. Your damn wife dies, and then you go and marry your mistress. Baby, oh, I know what I wrote right here. So, baby, they get married. Yes, child, they get married. So, it's Adele, right? They get married. Baby, no, we're not finished. We show a flashback, right? In the flashback, we see Adele and Joe. They're laying in the woods. And I'm sorry, and Rob. I don't know why I wrote Joe. We see Adele and Rob. And they are laying in the grass, in the forest, right? Near the well. And they astral project. He was like, let's switch bodies just for 5 seconds. Let's just do it for 5 seconds. And she was like, okay, let's do it. So then they do it, and as Adele goes into Rob's body and Rob goes into Adele's body, Adele sits up like this, and he's like, and it's Rob, right? And she was like, oh my God. So then Adele is in Rob's body, and she was like, I don't like how this feels. Let's hurry up and switch back. I don't like how this feels. Baby, Rob injects Adele, which is in Rob's body, with heroin, and drops Rob's body, which is Adele, down the well. The well. So, bitch, Louise is not Adele, bitch. That's Rob. And then they show Louise and David getting married, and then they're on their way driving down the street, and they're like, what do you want to do? And then she's like, Adele's like, no, Louise, honey, I'm all confused. Louise is like, whatever, we should go on a cruise to the Caribbean. And then Adam is sitting in the back seat. He was like, I thought you didn't like boats. And she looks back at him. She's like, maybe I've changed. And the eyes look crazy. I was like, oh my God, her eyes look so crazy. That was crazy. A lot of people did not like the ending. They did not like the twist. I was indifferent to the twist. I would have liked for, I was not expecting that. I thought it was a good series. I wasn't ready. I was just mad because, Rob killed Louise. Rob was just killing everybody just to live this life that he didn't have. He wanted to live this fairy tale life. And I think David kind of knew that something was wrong with Adele. Honey, you've been fucking Rob this whole time. You know what I'm saying? You've been having this relationship with this man, and you don't understand why everything is different, and you don't like him. And it's really, it's Rob in Adele's body. I just felt really bad when she like called out her son's name. I was like, this shit is crazy. It was kind of like a little mind fuck or whatever. And I didn't even put together that she was going, when Adele was going to get heroin, like I was like, why does she have heroin? I didn't even put it together when the Anthony Hawkins brought her heroin. I didn't put it together. I was like, I didn't think it was, I was just like, I didn't know. I didn't know what it was for. I don't know what it was for. But then I was like, oh my gosh, she's doing heroin. It was crazy. Anyways, y'all, that's it for Behind Our Eyes. Take care of each other. Protect your energy. Let me know what you think of it, what you thought of the series. Really good. So we got to find another series to watch on Netflix. I'm going to look for something that interests me. Oh, I did watch I Care a Lot. No, y'all. I was like, this white lady is so hell-bent on ruining someone else's life that she's willing to risk her own life. She's a damn fool. Was that based on true events? Because unless it was, then I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I thought it was ridiculous. Who would go through that? You have that much greed that you would, I don't know. It was just too much for me. Anyways, y'all, take care of each other. Protect your energy. Let's get down in the comments. Peace.